From the author of Spinsterella, the strange and unusual romance and spellbound, a darker shade of black comes the legendary Matilda. Pick up the conclusion to the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers this Halloween. When it comes down to these black superhero films and these black superhero television shows like Black Panther or CW's Black Lightning, a lot of black people are just content with seeing a black person presented on the screen. I'm not a guy who's content with just seeing a black guy on the screen or a black woman on the screen. I'm a man who wants more. And in this video, I'm going to explain my philosophy of more. And the reason why I want more than just a black person on that screen in a fantasy or a science fiction show is because I know we can do better than just presenting a black face in a science fiction or a fantasy program. We can do better than just presenting something that features a black person. We can make something that presents a great story of an African American hero in a fantasy setting. And the way we get to more is by presenting people something that gives them a lot more than just a basic, generic story. This requires people to go in and dig deep. And digging deep means we're going to go in here and we're going to go and dig deeper than the surface. We're going to dig and find something of substance to tell in a story featuring an African American hero in a fantasy or a science fiction setting, and we're going to do something that really shows something unique, something special, and something that really shows that black people can be imaginative and creative as everyone else out here, and present something that shows our own unique fingerprints on this genre of storytelling. I have not seen that in either the Black Panther trailer that was presented a few days ago or the Black Lightning trailer that was presented a few months ago. In both of those cases, I saw something very generic, very average, and very not distinct. I saw visuals that could have been put in any film or cut and pasted from any film into these films. I didn't see anything unique or anything special that would come out and grab me and say to me, this is special, this is unique, this is telling a story from black people about the black experience. And I know it's possible for us to get more in terms of that type of quality because I saw that type of level of depth and substance presented to me in the first 6 episodes of Luke Cage. In the first 6 episodes of Luke Cage, I saw a story that was distinct to the black experience, a story that was distinct to black culture, a story that was unique in presenting the story of Luke Cage and the black experience. However, the way they presented it showed that it was a black story coming from black people and coming from the experiences of black men. And that only came because we had a black production company and they were given the creative freedom to tell the story that they wanted to tell about Luke Cage. And when I saw that, that is a prime example of what I'm talking about in terms of more, because those producers of Luke Cage in that first 6 episodes, they gave us more. They gave us something unique. They gave us something distinct. They gave us something great. And Wesley Snipes gave us something great in 1997's Blade. Again, Wesley Snipes went out of his way to give us more because Blade was a Z-list character in the Marvel Universe. But because Wesley Snipes brought his own ideas to the table with this Z-list character, this Z-list character became an icon in the black community. And the reason why he became an icon in the black community was because Wesley Snipes wanted to give people more. He wanted to give people something with its own vision, its own ideas, and its own heart. What we saw on the screen was Wesley Snipes' ideas for Blade, not some generic come out of a comic book idea for Blade. And that's why that film has resonated with people over 20 years and is considered a high bar for the standards for black fantasy. Same thing with Netflix's Luke Cage, his first 6 episodes. That's another example of a high bar for quality. And this is what people in the black community need to demand when it comes down to black fantasy and science fiction. You want to get something on a high level of quality, something that tells our story, our experience, and presents our story and our experience in a fantasy setting, something that presents our imagination and our ideas on the screen and shows the world that we can be just as imaginative and creative as people like Stan Lee or Jack Kirby or anybody else out here, and we can put our own fingerprints on our own stories. When I go to the keyboard and I go out and I write a novel like The Temptation of John Haynes, I go out of my way to present my own ideas and my own imagination in between the pages of that book. And I go out of my way to go and present a story from the black experience from a black perspective and my own put my own visual fingerprints. Yes, I get some inspiration from some white media like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or I get some inspiration from things like Ghostbusters, but I also draw from people who are part of the black fantasy genre, like Keith David when I was creating Lucifer, and Sally Richardson Whitfield when I was creating the Eastine character that was a part of the Temptation of John Haynes. And I also draw from other parts of black culture and the black experience when I even do other stories, like when I was doing the Spinsterella trilogy, which featured an African American goth character. I drew from my experiences in Harlem and Sugar Hill when I was writing Spellbound, and from other parts of Spinsterella, I drew from other parts of black culture, and from the legendary Mad Matilda, I drew from seeing other parts of Harlem and Manhattan. I drew all that, and I put a visual fingerprint, not a visual fingerprint, a fingerprint in those stories that not only showed us the goth subculture, but also showed us black culture and the black experience. And when I do ISIS series stories, like the recent House of ISIS, I also draw from the African American culture and the African American experience, because I talk about Harlem and I talk about parts of Nubian and Egyptian mythology, but I bring it things from black culture and the black experience into that. And that's what I mean by more. We want to see something that tells our story and presents a unique story about black culture, about the black experience, and gives us a lot more, because people want that substance, they want that depth. They just don't want to see a black guy in a story. They want to see a black culture, a black experience. They want to see more. I mean, we got more with Captain America Civil War when we got 3 black superheroes, but I believe we can dig even deeper than that, because again, Luke Cage showed me we could dig deeper. And again, I dig deep when I go out here and I write fantasy like The Temptation of John Haynes, or the ISIS series, or the Eastine series. I go out of my way to dig very deep, and I know that there's a well of great stories out there about black culture and the black experience that can be put mined in the fantasy genre, and we can put that out there, and readers can enjoy a richer experience when they go out here and watch things like fantasy films or read things like fantasy books featuring black characters. For me, it's not just putting a black guy on screen, because we've been doing that since the 70s, then the 80s with guys like Worf and Geordie LaForge, and we have, when it comes down to us getting our own platforms, we have to tell big, deeper stories, richer stories, and do things better than handing people generic stories featuring, like with this Black Lightning, where they're showing us Black Lightning versus a street gang. I mean, I even had a viewer tell me we can do better than street gangs, and I've done better than street gangs. In the ISIS series, I've had ISIS taking on a cyber goddess. I've had her taking on a group of vampires. I've even had her and John Haynes take on Dracula themselves. I've had John Haynes fight the devil. So I know that that we're capable of writing deeper stories, richer stories, and I know that black filmmakers out here are capable of presenting deeper stories and richer stories out here as it relates to black fantasy and science fiction. And as a writer of fantasy and science fiction, I go out of my way to give my readers more. And that's what want people to go out here and expect. We should expect more because we deserve more, we deserve better, and we deserve better than just having a black person in a story. We deserve to have a rich experience that features black culture, black history, and shows us the vivid imagination many African Americans have and shows us a picture that is unique and distinct to us. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to see some stories that present more, you can go head over to Amazon.com and try some of my SJS Direct imprint titles like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, and the Temptation of John Haynes. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.